In this video, I'm going to discuss how to not care as an athlete. Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, mental performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Now, why would you want to not care? And what is it that you are not caring about? Well, there are many athletes that I work with in one-on-one coaching who are struggling with pressure, stress, and fear. Whenever they are playing with more pressure, more stress, or we could also say more anxiety or more fear, for the most part, this is due to the fact that they are caring so much about the result, what other people think, what their stats will be. In other words, they are worried about and caring about things that are out of their control. And that's what we're really wanting to work on when I'm talking about not caring. However, this is a very challenging thing for us because, there's not really a way to say this, your stats don't matter. There's not really a way to say the result of the game doesn't matter because all of those things, they really do matter when it comes to you winning games, you performing your best, you making it to the next level, you getting into the starting lineup, and so on. However, it is the way this thought about those things or the worry about those things impacts our play. And that's why it's so important for us to not, quote unquote, care about these things quite as much. So I want to share a story with you of a college baseball player that I'm working with currently. Now, this college baseball player has been struggling the past couple years with a lot of anxiety when it comes to what his coach is thinking about him. Now, he feels this anxiety specifically when he is hitting. He does pretty well on the field, but when he's hitting, he experiences more anxiety. Now, when he experiences this anxiety, it's due to the fact that he is so worried about getting a hit or getting out because he's worried about what his coach thinks of him. Now, as we've talked about this, it became clear, that the reason he's so worried about what his coach thinks of him is because coach is the one that makes the lineup. Since coach is the one that makes the lineup and he wants to play this upcoming season, he wants to be a starter, and then he even has goals of making it to the next level, because of all that, the coach's opinion of him is magnified. Because the coach's opinion of him is the very thing that will be his ticket to reaching all these different goals that he has. So then he hyper-focuses on how coach views him, right? What coach thinks of him. Unfortunately, this leads to more stress and pressure and anxiety, which has a negative effect on his actual hitting. When he goes up to bat and he's so worried about getting a hit or getting out and what coach thinks of him, he ends up taking good pitches. He ends up chasing pitches. He ends up being a little bit more out front because he's too jumpy at the ball. And all of this stems from the underlying care that he has of what coach thinks of him. So he and I have been discussing a lot lately this idea of letting go of this care, of not caring so much about the result and about the outcome. Now, what's really cool is that when he was telling me about just the best games that he's ever played, right? Those games that stand out in his mind, those stretches of games, those weeks, whatever they might be. He was describing to me that when he plays those games and he plays them to the best of his abilities, he's not caring so much about all these different results, all these different outcomes. For whatever reason, whether it's he just got frustrated at himself and he said, I'm not worried about it anymore, or whether he truly trusted in the coach and the coach gave him a lot of belief in himself, whatever it was, he was allowed to just be in the moment, kind of take that at bat freely like he wanted to, swing at pitches. He wasn't worried so much about the result and about the outcome. And so then he was telling me that, when I don't care quite as much, when I let go of all this worry, it's crazy how good I play. And that's the common theme that I see in all the athletes I work with where, when there is this letting go of the care and they don't worry quite as much, they give themselves permission to play freely. Then they end up playing their best. And because they play their best, they end up getting those things that they care about in the first place. So what we're after here is not to not achieve those things. That's not what I'm referring to. It's not that you don't want to achieve the results that you care about. It's that we have to understand that the care in the moment typically turns into anxiety and fear. The fear of not getting that thing. The anxiety of what will happen if I don't achieve this goal that I've set for myself. So now instead of just caring about it and it being important to me, now it's turned into fear and anxiety, which has a negative impact on my in-the-moment play. And because I'm experiencing that fear and anxiety, I play worse. And since I play worse, I'm actually further distancing myself from the outcome that I actually want in the first place. So now, how can you go about not caring quite as much? Well, just as I've been talking to this baseball player about, we have to work on reframing that in our minds, I think, because if we do care so much about where we go within our sport, right? We train so hard because we care. It is very difficult for us to then turn around and say, I don't care, screw it, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to let all that go. That's a very difficult thing to do. So instead of looking at it as not caring, he and I were discussing the idea of having complete trust and faith in himself and in the process and the path that he is on. So instead of not caring, we are having faith in ourselves and trust in ourselves that we can get to where we want to get to, right? So we can achieve those results that we want to achieve. Now, this is a very difficult thing to do, right? Don't get me wrong. Having a lot of faith and trust in yourself is difficult, but it's about the idea of letting go and then trusting in yourself to be able to play in the moment. So a couple different tips that I have for you, the same kind of tips that I was sharing with him that I think can help with this, is that number one, you want to make sure that you are being more process focused. And this is where, the idea of care can actually help us if we redirect our attention onto the process. So I was talking to him about, if you care so much about starting this upcoming season and coach thinking highly of you, then we have to make sure that you care each and every day about the process that will lead you there. And that's going to be a huge success for you as an athlete if you turn that attention onto the process and that's what you end up caring about. It's not that you don't care about those results, it's that you're letting them go and then you're caring about what will actually bring about those results. So that's one tip I have for you, right? Let's focus on the process and care more about the process rather than caring so much about the result and the outcome itself. Number two is that, you want to just have faith that you're going to be able to handle whatever comes your way. And the reason I say that is because if you're so stressed and so fearful of what the result's going to end up being, whether it's at the end of the season or you care so much about what other people think or you care so much about your stats, whatever it might be, once again, we know that care typically is based on this idea of fear. We are caring so much because we are afraid of losing that thing or not achieving what we want to achieve. However, if we can understand that no matter what happens, we will be able to handle it. We'll be able to bounce back. We still will be able to work toward our goals. Then it's easier for us to say, all right, I'm not going to care quite as much and stress quite as much about the result because I'll be able to handle it either way. And the third tip is you want to care about how you view yourself as a player. For the most part, the care that we have as athletes is focused on other people and is focused on the results of our game. It's focused on stats and all these different external things that, we naturally want to achieve and we naturally want to have other people think highly of us. But if you really want to not care quite as much about that, then we have to redirect our attention onto getting that feeling of confidence and that feeling of pride almost from within ourselves. And so this is going to come from you focusing on the successes that you have. It's also going to come from, the first tip that I gave where you are caring about what you do each and every day that leads to that result that you want, right? And then feeling good about that work that you're putting in. It's also about making sure that your self-talk stays positive. It stays, confident and you're able to talk to yourself in a way that boosts confidence and builds this feeling of trust within yourself. So this idea of not caring isn't really about not caring. It's about letting go of these worries, letting go of these stresses that are focused on all these different external things and these outcomes and, in all honesty, these things that are out of our control as players. It's about letting go of all those, trusting in yourself, having faith in yourself, and most importantly, sticking to the process of your game because you understand that, of course, there are all these different things that you care about, but caring about these external outcome factors typically leads to stress and fear. And when it leads to this stress and fear, that's what results in you playing tight, timidly, playing scared, and underperforming. So instead of caring about all these different outcomes, let's care more about the process. Let's care more about what you do each and every day. And let's care more about the way you play the game, the effort you give, the focus you give, the mindset you have when you play, because all of that sets you up for success in terms of getting the outcomes and the results that you want. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. And if you're interested in any of the sports psychology programs I have available, I've put links to those in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.